More security here than at the embassy in Libya.
United Films, what better way to fool you into thinking partisan politics exist?
Fire hoses, lynchings, and all-white juries.
Ayo, sponsored by the Vito Genovese Super PAC, capiche? The Big Valley!
It is early morning of the first Tuesday in November.
Looks more like large tract housing for Jonestown.
A city that is not very large, not very rich,
And not very required to pay federal income tax.
it is situated in the western part of the United States, in California. Its name is Riverton.
And most of the population there lives in a van down by the river.
The woman in the car is Mrs. Dawson, one of Riverton's 15,000 residents. She is principal of public school number 2.
And her spiked whip is the most feared in the county.
For this is election day.
And before she can get to the front door, she's gunned down by a UN poll watcher.
If all these places are closed, then how do we vote?
Why, even the Clinton Library is closed.
This classroom is one of the 130,000 places the country over in which American citizens are going to cast their votes.
Why does the narrator sound like he's calling a golf tournament?
This is the table where the voters' names will be checked. The locked ballot box.
Already stuffed with completed ballots.
Here it is, in the privacy of this curtained space, that the American voters every 4 years, on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November,
After the third Sunday of the leap year of the new moon.
Here come Mrs. Dawson's colleagues on the election board of Riverton's 7th precinct.
One of whom looks like the missing Andrews sister.
Political parties. Mr. Schwartz is a Republican who works for the streetcar company.
And member of the Whig Party.
He is a housewife and a Democrat. Mrs. Dawson is chairman. They've all known one another for years.
And the DNA test came back positive.
Traces of their campaign activities, their party buttons.
Her Vote Democrat IUD.
Then they take the oath.
Barack Obama. Oh, wait.
United States of America, perform your duties as members of the election board.
Does she have emphysema or something?
I do.
The fastest political marriage in history.
That the voting here today takes place according to the laws of the land. And now the polls are open.
And the Groovy Ghoulies are the first to vote today.
Here comes the first voter. No wonder he's first. He's been up since 4 o'clock delivering milk.
Milked the cows himself till 3:30.
Good morning, everybody.
Top line, you're the very first one, right on the dot.
I can't be the father.
Give the Republicans a temporary lead. Here's your ballot, Bill.
The milkman wastes no time violating federal law with small talk.
That's as far as we can go.
Yep,
Remember,
no
this
petting
is
on the
secret
first
vote.
vote.
No one ever sees another person mark his ballot. However, if we
What the hell is Roseanne Barr doing on the
if
ballot?
we were able just this once to follow Bill Johnson, this is what we'd see.
Good Lord, the milkman's not wearing pants. Why would you think I'd want these magic powers?
The President and Vice President of the United States.
After that, he assembles his fantasy football team.
Then a representative from his district. This man is
Clyde G.
casting
Doyle
his
for
vote
all your
a government
page-humping
of his own
needs.
choosing under the Constitution of the United States.
Expiration date 1778.
This is the way it's set up. There are 3 branches of the United States government.
And each one about as useless as having Ted Kennedy as your AA sponsor.
The legislative branch, or Congress, and the judicial branch, or Supreme Court.
And there's also Cliff Branch, former receiver for the Oakland Raiders, but he was overlooked.
Let's see how they work.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
The President is the executive head of the nation.
Hey, the cartoonist forgot the strings.
He initiates all important policies, such as treaties with other governments.
Wow, the President has 3 Alfred the Butlers.
He is the commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy.
That bastard Roosevelt sunk my battleship.
In a wartime election. The Vice President is the President's legal successor.
Or in Joe Biden's case, court jester.
Informed on matters of state and policy.
Mr. President, tell me a
Vice President
story.
accepts them,
But even he is obviously not important enough to have a face.
Departments of the government, such as the State Department, War Department, Treasury Department,
So even the president's cabinet is subject to a Gilligan's Island and the rest scenario.
Oh, come on. This is 2 educational shorts in a row that refuse to teach me anything. First, a cartoon pumpkin tells me I should magically know why fire's dangerous. And now Simon in the Land of Chalk Drawings expects me to have been born knowing who the presidential cabinet is?
Congress makes the laws.
While giving each federal agency free porn access.
Parliaments has no direct connection with the executive branch. This branch of the
And
government
here the House sperm meets the Senate's willing egg.
and the House of Representatives.
Seats available at your local Ticketmaster for just $5.
Approved by both of them. When a bill is passed by both houses, it is sent to the president.
Monsanto and the RIAA script the
The
laws.
president also approves the bill. He signs it. It then becomes law.
The law is the word.
The president may veto a bill passed by the Congress. But Congress may still, by a 2/3 majority, make the bill law. Although the chief responsibility of Congress...
We're here live at Sold Out Capitol Hill.
Certain other responsibilities are delegated to the 2 houses. In the Senate, or Upper House, as it is called, each of the 48 states in the nation is represented by 2...
This was before Alaska and Kenya were admitted to the Union.
Small states and large...
Man, it looks like this map was scaled to the metric system.
The Senate has 2 important functions.
Surely the nosebleed seats don't count as fair representation.
To pass on important...
Ladies and gentlemen, your new Secretary of Men's Restroom Signs.
And to approve or reject all treaties with other nations initiated by the President.
And especially the Girl Scout Cookie Treaty of
When a
1902.
treaty is under consideration, the members of the Senate express their opinions.
By turning into Klansmen?
Approval or of disapproval. And then,
Mammy!
if 2/3 of the Senate approves of the treaty...
Jack Daniel's stock goes up $25.
In the House of Representatives, or lower house...
And it doesn't get much lower than them.
...represented in proportion to its population. The more populous of the states...
The more Honey Boo Boo fans.
...in the House of Representatives. All measures dealing with the appropriation of money for the nation's use originate and are controlled in the lower house.
Bank error in your favor. Collect $2 trillion.
For expenditure. And the President, with the aid of the Cabinet...
You know, even all that money's not enough for Michelle Obama's wardrobe budget.
Whether it be for purposes of peace or of war.
Or if you're Japanese, internment
Although the
camps.
Congress of the United States makes the laws of the land, its powers are also limited by the Constitution.
Limited? Why, it's Guantanamo for you, Mr. Narrator.
Branches of the government. There is a 3rd branch, the judicial.
I don't trust a man who wears a robe.
Members are appointed for life by the President. The Supreme Court protects the Constitution from violation by congressional laws or executive orders.
Yeah, and the Tooth Fairy gave the redneck down the street $5 last night.
Executive, legislative, and judicial, each with some power, none with all the power.
Because the real power resides in Chris Matthews' leg.
Intended by the framers of the Constitution.
Expiration date 17? Forget it.
Rests always in the hands of the voter, Bill Johnson.
So Bill Johnson runs the country? Why didn't you just say so instead of boring us to death?
Having voted for a federal government, he must also choose a governor for his state.
And later that night, a lap dancer.
County judges, all the minor offices, and various legislative amendments.
Hey, where's the slot for dog catcher?
When Bill Johnson is finished, he has elected an entire government from top to bottom.
All made up of his secret army of miniature milkmen.
Think the way he does about it.
Well, she must have paid her poll tax and passed her literacy test. You can't vote, you're
Only
bald!
here in Everton that the voting is heavy today. All over the country, people are conscious of the momentous issues.
Conscious,
facing
but not
the nation
coherent.
and the world.
Bacon laundry, what a great idea!
Now remember, folks, pretend we're not in a depression.
Jimmy the Greek looks carefully over every voter's shoulder.
Their conviction of how and by whom these issues should be met.
Madam, have you considered Amway? Cook County style voting.
The 2 major presidential candidates vote like all the other citizens. One of them in New York City describes himself as a lawyer.
And professional Jonathan Frakes impersonator.
Where his home is, gives his occupation as farmer.
You can plow a lot of land with those leg braces.
For those who cannot come to the polls,
Mary, won't you vote for me?
Provided, and the voting is supervised by the local notary.
And secret peeping Tom.
This is the same kind of ballot that in this wartime election is sent to members of
As
the
a result of
armed
poorly
forces
placed voting booths, Sergeant York didn't come home from the war.
I voted for Patton, that paper-hanging son of a bitch.
These ballots are returned to be counted in their respective states. Here in River,
Ooh, 90% of Democrat votes are because of women's hinders.
following the constitutional provision that elections are held on schedule, rain or shine, panic or prosperity, peace or war.
Cardassian or
On
Hilton.
his sleeve was part of yesterday's history lesson, when Mrs. Dawson reminded her pupils of two other memorable elections. In 1864, with the nation in the throes of a civil war, Abraham Lincoln, one of America's greatest presidents...
Political satire existed when Lincoln was president? I am shocked.
Peace. Whoa, what's it good for?
The people chose to re-elect Mr. Lincoln.
See, the Cubs lost again.
In 1916, during the First World War, an election was held. And now again in 1944.
Need to go to war more often then, don't we?
Early in the summer, nominating conventions are held.
Part political convention, part Scope's monkey trial. What did you say? James Buchanan's still president?
At these
You know, this looks like the convention for the Doughy Man's
The
party.
chosen delegates of each major party meet to select a candidate
Senator Nestor, the long-eared donkey, burned in
for
effigy.
the United States.
We want more war. We want poverty.
Now the candidates have been chosen.
Hang your head, Tom Dewey.
James T. Bricker.
I don't know, I've fallen and I can't get up.
And Audrey Meadows.
And the campaign is on.
Joe Hill making prisoners wear pink panties for the last 20 years.
Dewey, Pence is Truman.
For 3 months,
Jeez, and people complain about political ads nowadays.
people come together, issues and men are discussed and argued about.
You're not gonna vote for
Some people
FDR,
think
Mr.
this is
Bay.
altogether a good thing, that a lot of time and energy are wasted this way.
I did too, see you giant leech.
But that's the way Americans like
You
to
import
do
your milk from China.
it. They like to feel
Is gay,
everybody
is
has
not.
a
Is gay, is
representation
not.
and is interested enough to do
So even in 1945, people were stupid enough to argue politics with their dentist?
it.
Even the Beaver and Tom Sawyer go at it.
Every attempt is made by all parties to influence the people's thinking.
Using the usual methods, Colt 45 and menthols. You know, I would imagine the Don't Blame Me, I Voted for Hitler bumper stickers did not sell very well this year.
But the proof presidency's a killing job bumper stickers would be a sleeper success.
The very first people of Walmart.
Free bird! Free bird!
Ah!
Business, professional, and civic groups endorse one candidate or the other.
Under threat of losing their ration card.
First time in American history, organized labor takes an active part in the campaign.
Hey, I think we finally found Jimmy Hoffa.
Radio plays a greater role than ever.
Don't open that closet, fibber.
By all parties and distributed evenly among them, giving the party in office no advantage over its opponents. It is estimated that in the last days of the 1944 campaign, 70 million Americans heard the speeches of the various candidates.
While the other 70 million were listening to the Jack Benny program.
Get off the phone, you big dummy.
Yes, Sieg Heil, folks. Sieg Heil.
Now all that is over. The heat and excitement.
Yeah, especially in the Clinton bedroom.
The votes are cast, and Americans have agreed to accept the will of the majority.
And who did you vote for, Kay Kaiser?
Apparently, even the younger generation has declared peace.
You wait until that cherry bomb goes off.
Now the election board begins its last duty, the counting of the votes.
You know, back then a hanging Chad was considered obscene.
Figures are checked and double-checked.
6 for Roosevelt, 1 for Dewey. 6 for Roosevelt, 1 for Dewey. Who needs Acorn?
Then they are telephoned to headquarters.
Hello, sir. Get me Joe Kennedy. Yes, in Chicago.
Hello? This is Mrs. Dawson, 7th Precinct. Ready to report.
From coast to coast, precinct...
Wow, even Dewey mans the phones.
City by city, state
Darndest
by
thing, Gladys. All the votes are for the cripple again.
And everybody enters their pick for the second race at Pimlico.
All over America tonight, the people are waiting to learn whom they have chosen to govern them for the next 4 years.
Al Franken, are you flipping kidding me?
Pearl Harbor has been bombed again.
And the National Symphony Orchestra breaks into Roosevelt's second movement.
Towards midnight, the final results are announced.
And Can You Stand goes for George Obama.
All nude girls, chicken wings, half price.
And FDR celebrates his victory from his oxygen tank.
Women's right to vote repealed.
Eleanor pregnant with Truman's baby.
Industrial revolution disavowed as Nazi hoax. Bat boy discovered in cave.
Hey, someone call 911. FDR just tipped
Nation
over.
of 140 million has elected a government.
Yeah, but what are the over-under odds on Roosevelt croaking in the first 90 days?
Buy war bonds and vote FDR today. Oh, and vote Ron Paul.